Ladies and gentlemen, we are here, the grand finals of the Rocket League DreamHack Championship here in Sweden, in Jönköping. I won't have to say that too many more times, but that is where we are. It's a great place. I've loved seeing this. First time in Sweden, and it's been quite an exciting trip, and now we get to crown a champion. It's either Flipside or Gale Force Esports. These are our two teams.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic road for both these teams having to go through Infused, but we are finally down to the last game. Going to be a best of 7 for us as well. First time we're seeing that today. It might change everything up.
Yep, certainly will be. Both these teams looking very solid. Flipside looking shaky on their match, but towards the end, as they got more and more experience under themselves, once they started to change their strategy of gameplay, they did look much better. Gale Force, however, never really looked like they were ever in a position to lose to Rogue. So this will be a very interesting matchup.
It's the first time ever at a major Rocket League LAN, the other three being the Rocket League Championship Series seasons 1, 2, and 3, that we've had the top 2 seeds actually make the final.
Yes.
And one of them had a bit of a rougher road to get there. Some would argue a tougher road in terms of competition. But that's not to say that Gale Force made it through an easy bracket by any means. They have beaten a lot of good teams, and they've dealt with them, with splendid fashion. Very, very controlled victories, like Shogun said. Compare that to Flipside, who have looked a bit more messy. Characteristically messy, though, and I'm sure that the fans are not too worried seeing them down 2-0, knowing how many reverse sweeps they've completed in the past.
We can take a look at the bracket, talk exactly about that. What was the path of these teams? Who did they have to beat to get here? And you can take a look at it. Flipside has defeated Diffused Kids and then Prophecy here in the upper bracket. Also, Bob's Beans, who they lost to, or who they dropped a game to in the round of 16. But then over on the other side, you can see Gale Force having to go through Rogue and Infused.
Yeah, for Gale Force, like we were saying, it might have looked like a little bit easier bracket, but those games have been in their favor very well. Controlled games. We even saw it in that last series against Rogue. Even though those games were close, they didn't get that pressure. They just did their game. They played their pace, and they capitalized on it, and that's what you want. A clean 3-0 in the semifinals, they come in as a favorite.
Yep, they certainly do. For me right now, I'd have to say GFE looking like the stronger team in terms of they have a more complete game plan. It's not in terms of what we saw from Diffused Kids where it was very much stay back. It is more they control the entirety of their half of the pitch rather than Diffused Kids controlling just the final third, and very happy to challenge on the other side of the pitch without sending too many players forwards.
I think perhaps the one place where Gale Force may struggle against Flipside, more so than they struggled against the likes of Rogue and Team Infused, is that do they even have the stronger 1 versus 1 presence anymore? Every other series that they've played, they've had the best 1v1 players in the lobby. K-Dop and Turbo Pulsa, of course. Violent Panda, also a top 100 ones player. Now they're up against Cuxer and Marky Duda, and Mystic is a top 100 ones player as well. So it's pretty much even in that regard. And they're not going to be able to just bring the game to the ground and get free goals from ground shots as easily as they did before.
You're completely right about that, too, because against Rogue, they had no problem with that. The contests were just scared by Rogue. They didn't do it at all. So you're going to see a lot more clashing in that midfield. I almost guarantee it.
Well, let's meet our teams. Let's head down to the stage and get these guys up and on it so we can have our Rocket League Grand Finals. In the blue, Gale Force Esports, the 3 Grand Finalist players, 1 world champion here. There's K-Dop, and then Violent Panda rounding out the roster. There's Turbo Pulsa over on the far side here. But in the orange, the world champs from Season 2, Flipside Tactics. They're here see if they can gain another championship title under their belt. It's Mystic, Marky, and Cooks are there, ready to go. Let's let them take their seats. Guys, take your stations. Let's play some Rocket League, and let's get our grand finals underway. And for the first time today, I'm going to ask you guys for predictions, and I honestly don't know what you're going to say, because every other time I felt like there's either been a region bias or there's been a team that has a clear edge. In this situation, I have no idea who's going to win this match. Flipside, Gale Force. I want to start with you, Johnny. Who do you think is going to take it?
I think that based on what I've seen up until this point today, like Lawler said, Gale Force have looked more consistent, and I think that is partly down to Cuxer and his whiffs defensively. So if we continue to see whiffs from Cux, I think Gale Force are going to capitalize, because Marky and Mystic aren't used to Cux missing the ball like he has been, and although they have not been punished as much, it's mostly because no one expects Cux to miss the ball, so the teams aren't moving in to capitalize on that. But the problem is K-Dop loves to track the play really, really closely. He's going to be first to every ball that anybody misses, and if Cux and Flipside keep missing the ball, Gale Force are going to take this. If Cuxer's MVP, Flipside are going to take this. I think that they've got more offensive flair, and that's my catch. Is that if Cuxer does up his game, I think Flipside have got more individual ability, the likes that Devo brings to a lobby. But for now, Gale Force, given how the teams are currently playing, going as the favorites in my opinion.
Alrighty.
Yep, I'm going to have to go with Gale Force as well. Turbo Pulsar has the opportunity of a lifetime on his hands to go straight from winning the World Championships. When he was subbing as well, a lot of people were going around just sort of scoffing at the idea of Turbo Pulsar being Northern Gaming's substitute. He's won that. If he can now come in and win this tournament as well, he will be most likely the most valuable player in the world currently based upon results.
Absolutely. And I don't think we've ever had a World Championship team come out from winning RLCS and then continue to be dominant afterwards. Most of the time they drop off a bit. They relax a little bit as well because they're on the top already. This is the best opportunity we've ever seen him have.
And remember, he's not quite signed yet, I don't think.
No, this is a huge moment for Turbo Pulsar to come out off that huge win, be a world champion, and then immediately show up. And he's not just showing up with the same team that he played with. It's a completely different roster that's basically testing him out to see if they actually want to sign him for Gale Force. So a lot to prove. On the other side, you know, Johnny hit it right on the head. Cooks has been missing a lot on defense. Even though Mystic's a fantastic backman to cover him, you can't rely on that in the grand finals. Like, there's a lot of time for them to work out those kinks, and I think that's where Flipside's strength is that in this best of 7, if things aren't going well, there's plenty of time to Cooks find his grounding because we've seen it time and time again. That double touch off the backboard from the top left corner every single time from Cooks. But you can't rely on that. You have to give it to Gale Force.
All right, we have all three of you going in favor of Gale Force, which I think the fact that you pointed out at the end, this is a best of 7, and if there's any team that is good at endurance gaming, it's Flipside Tactics. They are the ones who can come through and always win when they need to. I cannot count them out. Nobody can, but we will see how it ends up being. Also, I just want to give, because I gave one out yesterday, I'm going to give Turbo Pulsar the award for best looking car right now. He was, Radio, I believe, also had a really good looking car earlier, but since I said I was going to give one out, and I hadn't really seen enough to actually create a bracket for you guys, I'm just going to give it to Turbo Pulsar because I want to.
Hey guys, what do you pick? I pick this guy, get over it.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be.
That's consolation if he doesn't win on
If
the
he doesn't
stage.
win, yeah.
At least he's won your car competition.
He's won the car competition for day 2.
What's the prize?
Maybe I'll tweet it.
That's right.
You get a way fun. I think Turbo has more followers than I do, and he'll be like, whoop-de-doo. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Thought that counts, Wade.
Oh my goodness. We are moments away from getting into this finals matchup. Gale Force Esports, the clear favorites right now, but Flipside Tactics, the oldest, the most renowned name in all of Rocket League. They've been here the most times. No team's been to the finals more times than Flipside has, and I do think it's a really cool fact that this is the first big tournament we've had after RLCS.
Well, we shall get into it indeed. Best of 7. And it's going to be Gale Force Esports versus Flipside Tactics, and that might be an immediate attack. And it is going to be K-Dot with the follow-up. Flipside Tactics failing to push the ball into the corner will be punished.
Get up, always the man first on the scene where the ball breaks free, barely beating Turbo Pulsar to that one. Great start though for Gale Force, a poor piece of defending from Flipside. Plenty time to knock out those kinks as we are into a best of 7 and only 14 seconds into game 1 now. But every single ball that spills out at the edge of the box, it seems like K-Dop is always first on the scene.
Gale Force have got something that I haven't quite seen since the old Swarm team, which I used to call the bleeding effect. It was the case of, once they beat you once, they figure out your strategies and they beat you by more and more every single time. However, they are against Flipside Tactics, a team that has shown today just how good they are at adapting their play style, because they have seen it all before and they have beat it all before.
As we start off into what we're very used to seeing from European Rocket League, end-to-end hard clears with the occasional knock-on, this time courtesy of Marky Duda, followed by a dunk as well. Well left at the back there, Violent Panda with 90 boost to his name, did not need to pick up that 100 from the corner, instead leaving it in case a teammate would need it, and there it does get picked up right now. We're settling very firmly into what we expected to see with Mystic at the back, Cuxer and Marky up front, and this time the whiff from Cux does cause problems for Gale Force, and it will result in a goal. Chaos at the back for the tournament favorites.
Yeah, this is exactly what you're waiting for. You don't usually get it this well, though, once you're going for ping-pong gameplay. One mistake is exactly what you're looking for. That was about 2 or 3 condensed into one, and that has tied us back up. Gale Force Esports will need to avoid mistakes like that against the most experienced LAN team in Rocket League.
And I don't think any team will enjoy a silly goal like that quite as much as any team captained by Marky Duda. Smile on his face is not a surprise to see after the ball ricochets off 2 defenders and falls right in front of their own net. But it was not him who was able to finish off the poo goal, as he would say. Mystic, his countryman, taking the credit. But now Gale Force seem to have been awakened. They have long had the possession in their favor. Now an interception coming in from Cux, and he follows up off that sidewall like he so often does. Mystic misses on the open net. It would have been tough to squeeze it into that corner that was presenting itself. The player of Mystic's caliber will be disappointed